At the end of your life, what will be your legacy? What will you leave behind for future generations? For the world, join the World Messenger, Izabela Lundberg, each week as she brings you a new distinguished guest from the business, sports, or entertainment world to share their success, their struggles, and their lessons. They will share their insights into current hot topics that affect everyone. Izabela facilitates an intimate, vulnerable environment to find the true value of humanity and real leadership. Are you ready for your legacy? The legacy that matters?
Hello, my beautiful friends. It's Izabela Lundberg here, the World Messenger, and I have another epic episode of Legacy Leader Show for you. This time I have someone join me from Orange County, someone that I'm actually seeing and hearing way too many times in Clubhouse, and I never get tired of it, who is extremely committed, who is so dedicated to help others during the biggest need, entrepreneurship in businesses that we're facing right now, and giving amazing value and opportunity for all of us to grow and thrive. He is also running the largest Clubhouse room in the history. And for everybody that is not familiar with Clubhouse, you guys are going to discover something super, super awesome. But the most beautiful thing about it is this opportunity, how we can be all on a mission to inspire and change. And his mission is to inspire 100 million people. And we cannot wait how he's going to do it and by when. So without further ado, let's invite here to opportunity to talk to Daniel Robbins. Daniel, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm just so honored to be here. And it's always odd listening to people talking about me. So great to be here though.
I'm so glad you could find and step away from Clubhouse where you are, been so dedicated for so many days since I actually joined and start tuning in beginning of January. And I'm just blown away how much time and effort do you spend to support, to give, but also to influence and impact. So I just, first of all, want to kudos you. And if you don't mind, I'm just curious, how did you even dabble into Clubhouse, and what do you see what going on? Because I'm sure that is the hottest topic for so many, and then we'll step back from the Clubhouse in the real world also. But since I mentioned that, do you mind just telling us a little bit your perception of what Clubhouse is, and how do you navigate, and what do you find to be extremely helpful for others?
Yeah, no, great question. So we started back in early December. Actually, my wife, Kate, she found out about it from a friend, I think through social media. They were talking about this new app, and he invited us on because we actually wanted to learn how to build a better funnel. Our funnels weren't really as great because we're kind of new to building funnels. So we figured, let's go on this app. Seems like some good marketing people on there. Let's ask some questions about building a funnel. That's literally the only reason we joined. And then, the rest is history now. Do you want me to answer what is Clubhouse in a quick summary?
Yes, please.
So I have two answers. The first one is go to a deserted island and put millions of people on this island with no identification. That's Clubhouse, right? You can watch, it's like watching a new world, a new universe creation forming. It's really amazing. There's always good and bad to everything, right? But really, it's an audio version, almost like an audio podcast live, where people are interacting with each other, and then you have a group of listeners.
And with that in mind, you obviously you did something that is so amazing and that just blows my mind. You were very quickly able to align with transformative leaders, people that actually do provide value, that are honest, that are transparent, that they're exactly what they say who they are outside of the Clubhouse, with same consistent persona, being very down to earth and very easygoing and engaging with others and willing to answer questions and support and help others to replicate your success. So you did something really interesting. You started running the longest Clubhouse room. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so early on when we got onto the app, we noticed there wasn't a lot of rooms that were entrepreneur, business focused. We didn't really see a community there. There was a lot of rooms where we didn't really fit into like the people we would normally hang out with, and that's like the business owners, entrepreneurs. It's pretty much like who our friends are. So we figured, hey, let's open up a room to see who else is in the same boat, who wants to find those rooms. And this was actually Christmas Day. So December 25th, it was like 9 a.m. in the morning. And we know a lot of people at the time, everyone was on lockdown. So we figured there's probably a lot of lonely people out there. We're just hanging out at home. There's nothing we can do. We're in California. So we figured Christmas Day, 9 a.m., let's open up this room in business. It was what it takes to run a $1 million biz was the name, because that's, totally separate. That's part of our mission as well. But yeah, we opened up this room and let's see who came in. And what happened there was pretty magical.
Wow, I've been in that room in and out throughout the last 3 months or so, and we're just amazing to see not only how many people I also met, how many people I identify that are on the same page as I am, and how many of them became really good friends. But what was so interesting is the topics, and every time, again, opportunities and value and different ways of understanding. It's like now it's a time for take action, right? Because there's just so much wealth of information. And how has this journey been for you for the last 90 days, if you don't mind sharing, just so people that are on the fence or don't know yet so much about it, what they're missing out? Please share.
Yeah, it's really surreal. Like I was saying, the room that we opened, it was just Kate and I talking, then 2, 3, 4, 5 more people came in. Next thing we know, there was a few hundred people in a room. And at that time, it's funny, it was only a few months ago, yet there was a lot of unknowns. People didn't really know how many people should be in a room, how many people can be in a room. So it was just so many unknowns. We just kind of went with the flow. And I remember waking up the next day and there was a whole bunch of people in there, like big names that I know, not personally, but I've heard of or I've seen. And they're in this room and I'm like, why are these people in this room? Then I look and there's hundreds of people listening. Eventually we got to 1,000 people after a few days and there was a consistent flow. And I'm like, I can't believe there's this many people listening in a room. But if you're a fly on the wall and you listen, you're really gaining the exact knowledge of what people are doing step by step. Like you're saying, if you're a business owner or entrepreneur and you want to learn anything about business, it doesn't matter if it's marketing, if it's law, anything that you want to know, there's people talking about it on this app. Now, yes, some stuff may not be 100% accurate. So you want to, of course, pick and choose who you're listening to. But there are, thousands of people on this app that are helping and giving all of the information that they ever have learned for free. And you can, the crazy thing is you can ask them, like, when's the last time you got to ask somebody that I would say, there's so many people I consider untouchable. And I got to ask them questions and interact, which I don't know how ever I would be able to do that. So I think there's a really amazing place for those types of relationships and the ability to really gain knowledge.
And I love what you just said, and just the topic of your room that is so well crafted and picked, which is for a lot of people went through a lot of contraction. So many of us lost the contracts, lost the clients due to COVID, due to economy, or also have to completely pivot or purpose our business. And just having opportunity to hear what others are doing, but also it's like what it means back being in the game and running and building up to, again, $1 million+ dollar of revenue in business and figuring out and what is possible, and looking also on options and opportunities versus of things that we don't have no control over it. I think that is also extremely tremendously useful, just looking from my perspective and perspective of some of my clients. So with that in mind, how do you see now implications on so many people's businesses? And because obviously you now build amazing community, and what do you see happening as a result of it?
Yeah, we get a lot of messages every day around people that have implemented what they've heard over the last few months and how it's changed their business. I mean, people have cried on multiple occasions about the information that they're given, and then they come back and talk about how they've implemented it. Like you said, I mean, we felt it. We're in hospitality. We have brick and mortar stores. We saw a massive hit when COVID, because we some of our businesses are still to this day have yet to be able to open because that place that they're at, it's still on lockdown. So I can totally relate to how people feel. And a lot of people that hadn't diversified or hadn't spread across multiple revenues, they literally might have lost the only income they have for them or their family. So we've seen a huge impact where people have actually implemented, and now they're starting to see things come back. And I mean, they've cried on every day. I think one or two people cry about in happiness though, and the fact that I think people are a little bit lonely right now, and just
Yeah.
being an entrepreneur is lonely anyways. So the fact that they're finding a community and people that are like-minded and people that share, like you said, they just genuinely want to help. I think it's really touching for a lot of people.
That's fantastic. And not only that people can find obviously opportunity to interact, but also learn and see the difference in their business and have a more sense of security and opportunity and sense of community, frankly, because as you mentioned, loneliness, isolation, and just a long period of time. Now we're going into second year of shutdowns and drastic changes in our life and lifestyles. That alone, it's a huge gift, let alone a learning and be able to implement something so valuable. So with that in mind, I know you have so much things on in your mission that you wanted to accomplish, but I'm curious if you don't mind sharing when you were putting out to universe that you want to impact over 100 million people. Do you mind sharing how this came about and why you have such a burning desire to do that?
Yeah, so it actually was a billion, but I thought that was too much, so we reduced it to 100 million. Uh, so it really started, my wife, she's part of an organization, entrepreneurs organization, where in the organization you have to do $1 million a year minimum revenue. It's a nonprofit, but part of the organization is give back, and they help a lot of people get to that mark. Because once you get to that mark, you have a significant impact on the economy. So if you look at businesses that have the largest impact, are those that do over 1 million. And the other piece is women only make up around 2%, which
Yeah.
is really low, obviously, right? Um, so a year ago when COVID hit, something that we wanted to do, it was around April 1st, we said, what are we going to do? We have all this time. Nobody has any clue when businesses will reopen. So let's help people, right? We've always wanted to do it, but we've never had a lot of the time because we're always running and doing stuff, right? This was the time. If anything positive came out of this was like our positive time to reflect. So on that day, we decided we have a mission. We really want to help women get above that 2% mark, get to the mark where they're even with men among businesses that do over 1 million. And we started with a podcast. With that podcast, we interviewed other women who do above that mark because we have a large network of them, and they give exact strategies and tips as to how they got there to help provide a platform for other women to learn. Essentially what happened is that went from just women, we got a lot of male listeners. So we realized that men wanted to hear also. So then we started bringing in men and women guests, and then we've expanded it to, we want to help both men and women get above that mark. And it's not just us. So it's also providing the platform to bring other experts in so they can help and inspire, because that's the only way you get to, 100 million is our lifetime goal, the timing. So that's what we're looking at.
That is amazing. And I'm so glad you shared that. And to be honest, with the trajectory that I'm seeing and things you're doing in Clubhouse, you guys can accomplish that rather quickly and expand and go back to over billion people, because right now, just because of magnitude of the community and people and rippling effects, that is going to just amazingly snowball and expand. And I just love that you're taking in consideration helping women as right now, as you said, it's a very low representations that it is, and majority of contracts don't go necessarily to those businesses, specifically if it's a service based product to some extent, maybe a little bit more than service, and having opportunity to also create future leaders and future owners and business owners that can really thrive. It's essential because changes so much social economic landscape. And of course, you're talking about outside of the United States, right? It's just not just the US. This is on the global scale.
Exactly. Yep.
And that is what's so powerful about it. So do you mind sharing a little bit about how are you right now beside your podcast, and then obviously being in a Clubhouse, what other trends do you see and where you think you will be trajectory going, so that other people can also position and also first of all, name of the podcast that they can listen specifically for women. I'm curious. I wanted to know what others are doing, obviously, and how can I learn, but also how can I contribute as well, right? I'm sure the other female listeners are eager to find that out. So if you don't mind sharing, first of all, the podcast you're referencing, as well as what other trends you're seeing and what can we anticipate with opening after post-COVID, hopefully very soon.
For sure. And I'm no expert on that. So this is just, my 2 cents for what that's worth. But yeah, the podcast is called Inspired by Her with Kate Hancock. So pretty simple. Yeah, I think it's great. We're starting to see a lot of things being open, no matter where you're at in the world. As vaccines are rolling out, I think this year could be a massive increase in economic growth. Not just like you're saying, not just the U.S. or more developed countries, but I think the developing countries is a huge opportunity. And that's where we're spending a lot of our time. We also opened a fund to invest in women-led companies in the Philippines. We're starting there, and we're going to expand out to Southeast Asia. But the Philippines is really where we have a home base, since we have a business that's located there, and Kate is from there. So we've had a big impact, able to help women-led startups, tech companies, other things as well. It's amazing how many, like you're saying, there's so many amazing people out there, whether it's men or women, doing great, great things. They just don't have the ability, whether it's the money or the resources or the people, to get the word out of what they're doing. And I think that's where Clubhouse also comes in, because it's one of the only ways I've ever seen to really connect those people in real time. So I think once that opens up to the world, you have Android and you could have billions of people on there. I don't even know what's going to come out of it, but I think really that's why we're spending so much time cultivating that community, because I think we're going to see on a mass global scale something we've never seen before.
And that is kind of, same time terrifying and exciting, right? It's and question is always like, how many people will still, when everything's open, spend time on Clubhouse and learn and connect this way? But I also think that just because it's such a great way, regardless, I still think people will be spending high quality of time to do that. Because I don't think it's going to fully go away, need and demand to connect globally on such a level that actually Clubhouse is allowing us to do that right now. And I'm curious, if you don't mind confessing, I'm being shocked, to tell you honestly, Daniel, when I get my weekly summary, how long I hold this device in my hand and how much I'm using it. I'm in double digits. Are you in the double digits with use on Clubhouse and everything else with your phone?
Well, I have a lot of massager machines now for my arm, because I think I'm getting like carpal tunnel or something from holding the phone. Yeah, we were spending like a lot of, there were days we would spend 8-10 hours a day. We've scaled that back significantly. It's not possible. Once we hit the 20 days of 24 hours a day, we realized you can't do this. Your brain can't handle, I don't think, going this long. So we're very cautious about spending too much time. And we have a specific time we spend in the morning and then at night. And other than that, we don't really spend time on there as much.
I'm so glad you mentioned that too, because obviously being a self-proclaimed Clubhouse club addict, I totally can relate to that, and how important it is also to prevent a burnout, but also how it's important to have a life, right? With your wife, with children, with family members, but also to attend to your business. And it's just impossible. Everybody keeps saying outsource. Outsource, like, no, it's some things you have to do yourself. It's impossible to replace certain aspects of the business where you have to be present. And it's hard to do that because I'm seeing people just dropping, commitments, deadlines, quality of work. And that is also not definitely intended to be done. So I'm glad you're mentioning the scaling and better management of our time, because it can easily be very, very addicting. But if you don't mind sharing just a little bit, as you mentioned, you have so many interesting businesses and you're part of the hospitality. I'm seeing some amazing photos, and I'm seeing you and Kate traveling and jetting to different parts of the world. So do you mind sharing a little bit what your business is all about and what parts of the world they're in?
Yeah, so in California, we have a spa brand that has skincare products. We do some e-commerce from that. We've been doing that since 2012, more on the skincare e-commerce side. And then we also have a hotel brand in the Philippines.
Wow.
So yeah, we're excited about that. So once travel comes back, it's actually still closed. The island that we're on is very remote, and they have yet to actually allow people in. So once that opens up, our goal is to expand that to 8 locations, and then, figure out whether we IPO in Asia or make that a global brand. That's really where our heart lies.
Oh, that is amazing. And knowing what to do and knowing when it's timing right. And I'm sure with people so eager to travel, people would love to go to some private secluded destinations and enjoy time in the nature. And photo images for everybody. Again, I will have a link so everybody can look at, but I will definitely suggest to check Instagram because it's just so enticing. And seeing just the palm trees and pools and ocean, it's just, I wish that we can be at the moment right there. So that is super
I think you have to
exciting.
come by. We're going to do some retreats. You'll have to come
That
by.
is what I want to ask. How about some retreats? How about some amazing masterminds and some great things to happen? So do you mind sharing, what are you seeing, where your passionate is now with all of that, helping women, helping in general, other small businesses to thrive and grow, as well as creating the global community, masterminds, retreats? What else is coming that the people can also have a chance to indulge in and learn, but also learn?
Yeah, and are you referencing just for us in general? Like
Yes,
what?
or your businesses. Yes, please.
Sure. So yeah, before COVID, we were working on some additional locations. What we like to do is focus on, with the hotels, we focus on the more up and coming islands. So we were already working on opening a few locations, and then we were working on a franchise in Asia as well. Obviously, COVID derailed a lot of that, but we want to go back because we already have the spots to build. So our goal is to do that. We were also working on retreats. We were doing retreats right when COVID was hitting in Asia. So that was really interesting. So when we got back, we kind of saw things rolling out before it hit the US. But we want to do that again because it was absolutely amazing and people loved it. So we want to go back. We already have some stuff scheduled for next year. We're going to be doing some retreats, and we're working with some companies who do masterminds, and they're looking for these amazing places to hold them. But I really do think people are really itching to travel. I think they really,
Yeah.
really want to get out. And that's why we started also doing some unique spaces. Like in the US, we have a converted bus, we have converted military truck, RVs. People are really they're starting to get out, and we're starting to see that, which is pretty cool.
Yes, it's like everybody's craving some new adventures and new destinations. And after being so in lockdown, they definitely want to venture out. But in order to venture out also, well, let's go back, if you don't mind, quickly also to how do we reestablish ourselves? And you have this amazing background also through the digital footprint, to digital media. So do you mind sharing what one of those pivots that would you suggest and recommend for people that are going through this change and they're still not gaining traction and not sure which direction to go, they can quickly pivot and reestablish themselves and be able to partake in all of these exciting activities?
Yeah, I think now really taught us, people always say, follow your passion, but sometimes your passion doesn't really make you money. So I
Yes.
think this is a good time to reassess. Is this your passion, or is this something that can make money and you can be passionate about it? Because once you start making money, you're making revenue. I think that starts to bring a passion in. You find a passionate side, and then you can also go do something else that maybe you're even more passionate about. So I think now is a good time to really reassess. Like you're saying, if they're not seeing traction, maybe it's not them. Maybe it's the actual business, or maybe they can tweak it and find a different a problem to solve. And that's where I think like Clubhouse comes in. If you really want to find a problem to solve, go on there and just listen for 30 minutes, listen for an hour, open up a room and ask people within a certain industry, which we've done, market research, and you can get real time. So maybe just what they're doing is not really solving the problem, or, it could be their marketing. It could be so many things that they need to look at. But I think first is to reassess, is this something you can really grow, scale? It's something that that you can really make money on? And if so, is it really solving a problem?
That is excellent advice and great comment. And thank you for saying that, because a lot of times I'm hearing also, when is the good time to let go of something? When is the good time to say, actually, this is not working, and what to look for, or who do you ask? And I love that you're referencing again capacity to have different experts and different people and different points of view that already been there and done that. With that in mind, I'm just curious, what other trends do you see right now that are happening that can help people to reach those goals, based on what you've seen in the Clubhouse and conversations that you had with those experts?
Yeah, I think, social media, it's amazing. It's just very difficult to spend a lot of your time focusing on every single one. However, you had mentioned outsourcing. We're seeing a lot of people now asking about outsourcing that never had. I think there's so many people around the world that are very talented that you can hire for minimal costs compared to, if you live in the U.S. or developed place like the UK or Australia. So I think you could find people in all different countries that probably, there's so many jobs were lost, that are looking for a new job, that want to go digital, that you can hire them to help you. Because I think there's so many social media platforms. I mean, TikTok, I see so many people doing amazing on TikTok, but it's really difficult if you're also on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, right? It's like impossible to do everything. But at the same time, if you're not on those social media platforms, you're missing out massively. So I would say go find somebody in another country that is an expert in that, if you can't afford to hire someone locally, and hire them. And you'll be amazed about how talented they are.
So that is something also beside cost effective, right? And scaling of businesses that is so necessary. And I love that you mentioned, because I have to say, it's like when you're trying to juggle, then you're not mastering anything. You're kind of everywhere, but you're not maximizing the potential or maximizing the opportunity. And we know that LinkedIn is still the most trusted social platform where the financial means and decision makers are in companies that are looking for solutions. So to me, that is always kind of no brainer. That is where that is, what focus and effort should be, so that people can get to know you. But all the other digital platforms that you mentioned, I totally agree. It's important to have a presence, but in order to grow them, find someone to help you to grow them. Is that what I'm hearing you saying? And that is how you and Kate are managing your portfolios and having support, so, because you guys are everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, that plus, I mean, it took years of building a team. I mean, I would like to say we have a well-oiled machine now. For example, the hotels, for the first 2 years, we didn't even see them. We had never even actually visited, because we had a general manager there who's done phenomenal with us. She started as a cashier back in 2012 and worked on our Amazon business back then. And she worked her way up. So now she's our general manager of the Philippines. She manages everyone there, all of the people there. She does everything for us. So, I mean, one thing is, if we didn't have the right team in place, we wouldn't be able to do anything, because we'd be stuck in the business, right? We're always trying to work, how can we work above the business, or, outside in on the business. But if you're stuck in the business at all times, you really can't do that stuff. But I would agree with you, though. I did go all in on LinkedIn about maybe 2 years ago, and it is still a massive place that I think 2% of people even post on it regularly, which is amazing. So you have, 700 million people that are reading it, but hardly ever post. So I would agree with you. For social media, we love that.
And that's a great contrast. So fantastic. I love what you just said, also the power of the great team, people that you can trust. And that's why I see, even regardless you're talking entrepreneurial businesses or large Fortune 500 companies, you always have these top guns that are either hired or you're seeking to hire them. But then do you trust them? Do you let them to do what they're really good at it? And are you training, grooming someone, like you were just mentioning, someone who started as a cashier and was so dedicated and turned into general manager over the years because of their passion, desire, and demonstrated skill sets and hunger to succeed. And a lot of times that's amazing to give someone an opportunity like that. So kudos to you and Kate, but in the same time, it just talks volumes about your leadership. And obviously looking this from legacy leadership and leadership lens, I'm seeing a lack of the sense of the good quality leadership amongst decision makers and how they treat people, how they interact, and how they build great culture that no matter how hard and challenging it might be at the times to work with on daily basis, just by the nature of work, right? And dealing with the people. But the reality is how important more than ever it is to build with such a great foundation. So what would you recommend for those entrepreneurs that are so much focusing on profits, or large companies that are actually doing that, but not investing in nurturing environment and creating great cultures? What would be your advice to them based on what you tweaked and improved over the years?
Yeah, my advice is they're losing. I think this has been a hot topic for a while around how much does it cost to hire somebody to train them versus how much does it cost to terminate somebody or fire them, right? I think most companies would say, I don't remember the statistic, but it's X% more, X times more to hire than it actually is to fire. And then you have, replacement costs and all that stuff. So I would, so many companies already know this stuff. It's like almost common sense at this point. Culture has been driven. You have DEI now. I mean, there's so many great things. It's just amazing how a lot of companies just don't grasp it. And I can understand from a smaller business perspective, you're so caught up in the business, it can be difficult to step back and say, is it my leadership that's impacting us negative or positive, or what can I do? I am amazed though by large corporations that still have not gotten it.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, like you said, I think there might be some older leadership styles, and it's almost like waiting for the new people to take executive levels. Like you mentioned, I know a lot of companies like in California are allowing, they're bringing on women now to diversify, have different people to diversify. So I think that's been also a hurdle, is it's been the same people leading the same companies for so long. They never really brought in new ideas and new people. So I'm really happy to see that coming on. But money is like, I don't know how far down on the list, but most people never leave because of money, right? They're not feeling cherished. They're not feeling loved. They're not feeling awarded. There's so many reasons why they're leaving, and it's not because of money, which is what a lot of people automatically think it is.
That is so very true. Not knowing the root cause of the problem and where the friction and pinpoint it is, we will never know we need to change. And a lot of times when leaders are absent or they're not paying close attention, they typically organizations are solving wrong problems. And it's such a not only time waster, but it's such a waste also because, again, building communities and building these strong relationships, it takes away of that. And in contrary, creates more problem than solutions. And right now we have obvious opportunity to restructure and look at what's working, what is the best sweet spot, not only organizationally but also number of people and where the gaps are and where the opportunities are, right? Versus where the overlaps are. And I'm just really glad to hear perspective from someone who also has a global mindset and also global business, because a lot of people are struggling how to convert that and expand and allow, and again, trust global talent to be part of their enterprise.
Amazing.
So if you don't mind, I mean, you and Kate have been doing so many things, obviously. And what is in the bucket list? What else you guys are aiming at? And I'm curious also what ultimately you like to be known for and your legacy to be. So please, do you mind expand a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think that's where you talk about the 100 million.
Yes.
I mean, that's, we call it the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. That's our lifetime goal. We really want to help or inspire 100 million entrepreneurs in the world. I mean, if I can be known by one person that I help them, I mean, that's good enough for me. We already know over time, people, I'm not Bill Gates, I mean, like I'm not, I mean, so for me to even say like, I want to be known for something, to me is an interesting one. But I think, our kids, if they can always talk about us, it's like, what are they going to say when we're not around? But I think if somebody was to go to my funeral and make a really amazing speech because I impacted them, then I feel like, I did a good job.
That is very humble, but I totally understand also that, because it's a reputation, right? It is something that ultimately we want to be known and remembered by. It's so many people strive for billions of dollars. Some people strive for recognition that is so visible as the street name or the name on the major building and plaque and whatnot. It's everybody have a different motivating factors, but I'm always fascinated about those social entrepreneurs, how I call them, that want to make a social impact. And obviously, when you are impacting so many entrepreneurs and finding models and ways and partnerships and platforms and things that are strategic and intentional, usually actually do happen. And that is the beauty, because you're already attracting people that share the vision, goal, and drive and desire, and then wanted to play their best game or bigger game they ever did. So it's kind of like a ripple in effect, isn't it? But ultimately, we want to know, what did we do? Did we matter? Right? And beyond just the family members and friends. So
Yeah, I remember, sorry, I was just thinking about this. Something that always sticks in my mind. In our second resort property, there was this very poor family that lives next door, because it's in the mountains, and the mountains typically there are more of the poorer areas. They had a house. There was 7 people that live in this house. There's no doors. There's no windows. There's not even a bathroom. They don't even have a roof. And I was just so shocked. Like, it's hard coming from here. Like, wow, people live like this, and they were happy and, doing their thing. But we built them a roof. We built them a bathroom. We built up their house, and they were just so happy that we did that. And I thought, like, wow, you know what really matters in life, like this, if I can make these people happy, then I feel like I'm doing a good job. So it's almost like the little things, but everywhere we go, if we can make an impact, to me, I think that's something. But that always just stuck in my head.
I love that story, because a lot of times you can get a different perception, right? You're seeing you two guys traveling and jetting off with the private jets, and people can just say, oh my God, they're just, wealth accumulation and showing off or traveling different places. But that other contrast, the heart, right? Because of course you have to save the time and money how to get to places. And it's important to be available to certain meetings and conferences and events and partake in all that social aspects of it. But it's just so great to see where the heart is, why, that big huge why, and ultimately coming back to that through humanitarian efforts. And everything I'm doing, to me, is always about a people, right? Just the means and how we utilize that. So I'm so glad you shared that other side of your work, and how much truly it's passion and compassion for people, and to make a huge difference. So, with last question, if I'm just curious, what is still on your bucket list? I mean, beside the impact things, I know you guys have traveled so much, but what you would like to still see? Things that you really now, after the lockdown and reassessing your business model and how life is so valuable. I see so many changes with a lot of entrepreneurs that they're like, I'm really made completely shift, and this is trajectory that I'm going, and this is what actually now interests me. What that would be?
Yeah, what I really want. There's usually, when we would travel, we only stay 1 or 2 days somewhere, because we have like ADD of travel. We like to go like country to country as much as we can. But for us, like, we don't really do sightseeing. We like to go in there. I want to meet the people that live there, learn the culture. I want to eat the food. That for me is something that really brings so much satisfaction and gratification. So really what I want to do is I want to live in places. So I want to go to a country maybe for a month, and maybe go to another country for another month. There's so many countries and places that I want to see, because to your point, like, material things don't, for us, like, I don't really matter. It doesn't bring me any satisfaction to go buy something. I want to go and travel more. There's so many people and places I want to see. We've met so many great people, like you're saying, through social media, organizations, but I've never met them in person. I want to go spend time at their house. A lot of people have invited us, and we invite them. I want to go meet more people. Like, that's really what I want to do. I want to go, face to face again, since it's been a while since we've done that. So our goal is get out there. I want to get back to traveling, and I really want to go and stay in a lot of different places.
That is beautiful. So quality relationship and exploring the world through different lens and spending quality time. That's fantastic. And with that in mind, what would you recommend for people that are also changing their mission and goals and objective? What would be now something that they can take action on, that are listening and watching or peeking into your Clubhouse rooms, or cannot get into Clubhouse room, but listening to your podcast and really trying to progress and propel their success forward? What would you recommend for those individuals that are hungry, eager to do?
You have to find the right community. Yeah, you can, anything you can do, you could go do the best marketing plan, you can see success, but we already know with success, unfortunately, comes a failure. And it's really, really hard to take those failures when you're alone. So my suggestion is go right now, whether you go on the Clubhouse or there's so many different organizations you can join, go join those, reach out to people, build relationships, because it really doesn't matter what you do, how much money you spend on your marketing or people you hire. In the end of the day, if you don't have that community behind you or people you can rely on, it's probably going to get ugly. Entrepreneurship is not, as you know, it's not always fun. So unfortunately, but so that's my suggestion is if you can get on the Clubhouse, do it, open up a room. You can use our club. You can leverage our audience. We'd love for people to do that. But if anything, go and start networking and building that community.
Fantastic. And for people that are absolutely ecstatic and wants to join your community and resonate as well as I did when I started, and I know some, again, great friends that are there, and they're always, it's like, Izabela, if you can come, you have to listen to this. And sometimes, of course, you can't, but whenever I can, it's just like, as you mentioned, always some great wealth of knowledge to learn and some actions to be taken. So with that in mind, where they can find you, if you can please, again, mention your club name, as well as where would you like the members to find you outside of Clubhouse if they cannot be there, so that they can get chance to learn from the best.
Sure. So what it takes to run a $1 million biz is the club name. But yeah, you can find me every social media account, Real D Robbins. Also, I changed my LinkedIn to LinkedIn/Clubhouse. Make it easy for people, change my name to that. But yeah, find me anywhere there, and you can message me anytime. I try and respond to every message.
That's fantastic. And guys, that is very, very true. He's so approachable despite how busy he is and how big players he's playing with, very humble, down to earth. And one of the reasons I also wanted to have him on this interview, because that was the type of leaders the world needs most, and it's just so great to have him to share on the Legacy Leader Show, not only his legacy and what's coming next, but also how he is serving globally. So now you have it. And Daniel, this was absolutely fantastic opportunity, so thank you again, and it is to be continued.
Thank you. My honor.
Thank you for listening to Legacy Leader Show. If you enjoyed the content and had a positive experience, then please leave us a positive rating. In addition, leave us a positive review whenever you are listening on whatever platform there might be. Make sure your friends and family also know about the benefit and value that we provide and what we have to offer. Cheers.